Let's face it, landing a job in your home country is not the easiest thing to do, much more landing a job in a foreign country. And that explains why migration through the education route has become increasingly very popular. Today, I'm going to be talking about how you can migrate to New Zealand via the study route. The topic of studying in New Zealand and how you can actually make this work for yourself regardless of where you are is actually a very broad one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be dividing these topics into different videos. And in this video, I'm going to be focusing on the visa requirements, okay, for a study visa in New Zealand. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. And if it's your first time here, my name is Aine, and on this channel I share all things immigration, job and career advancement. If you would love stuff like that, why not click the subscribe button and join this amazing community. I'm going to be giving you a very detailed breakdown of the requirements for the New Zealand fee-paying student visa. Now, there are a lot of student visas in New Zealand, but this particular one is the most common and usually what a lot of foreign students, that is international students, will actually need to apply for before they're allowed to come into the country as students. Now, you may be wondering, what if I have a scholarship? Whether you have a scholarship or not, as long as there is a fee attached to your program, whether you pay directly or you get funding, you are still a fee-paying student. And so you would need to apply for the New Zealand fee-paying student visa. You'll be required to apply for a New Zealand fee-paying student visa if you are looking to study in New Zealand full-time on a program that is at least 3 months long. Now, this includes students who are enrolled in universities, schools, or even English programs. To apply for the fee-paying student visa, you're going to need to pay your full tuition fees, or at least show proof that you can actually pay for it. And then you would need to be enrolled by an educational provider that is certified by the New Zealand government. This visa is usually 4 years long, and processing time varies depending on your country, but it typically takes 3 to 8 weeks. The fee for this visa starts at 750 New Zealand dollars. It could go as high as $850 and even more depending on where you're applying for. So I would say check the New Zealand government website for a more detailed information. Now, except you are a PhD student, on a fee-paying student visa, you can actually work for 20 hours during your study and then full-time during your holidays. English language is not required, okay? And you can travel with your spouse and your children. Now, what are the documents required to actually apply for this visa? I'm going to start from the most important piece of document for you to apply for a New Zealand fee-paying student visa, which is an offer of place in the university of your choice. Now, this university has to be certified and recognized by the New Zealand government, so feel free to check their website to make sure that the university in which you got admission is actually recognized by the New Zealand government. Secondly, you will need to provide a proof of identity, which is usually your international passport, which is valid for at least a year. If you're applying online, you will be required to attach a photograph of yourself, so a passport photograph, which is usually the digital type, okay? You would also be required to submit a medical examination. Now, this could actually be optional depending on your situation, but the immigration office will definitely let you know if you are required to submit one. You would also be required to submit a police character certificate for every country you have lived in for at least 5 years and for your country of origin. For tuition fees, you will be required to pay for one course or 1 year of your program, okay, and attach the receipt to your application. However, if you are applying from outside New Zealand, you would not be required to pay your tuition fees until your visa has been approved in principle. Now, it's important to take note that when you're submitting your visa application, it is important to include the funds for your tuition fees. Even though you may not have been asked to pay, it's important that the money for your tuition fee will be in your proof of funds, that is, let it be in your bank account, or at least provide a document to prove that you are getting sponsorship from someone approved by the New Zealand government. You would also be required to state in your application how you intend to pay for the subsequent years of your schooling. Since you're required to show only tuition fees for at most a year of study, then you need to also explain in your documentation and your visa application that you have some kind of source of income to foot your bills for the coming years, especially your tuition fee for the coming years. You'll be required to provide a travel and medical insurance for the full years you will be spending in New Zealand. So if your program is valid for 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, you're going to need to provide some kind of travel and medical insurance that is full coverage for the length of time you will be schooling in New Zealand. Now, the only exception to this rule is if you are actually coming as a PhD student. In this case, you will not be required to show a travel or medical insurance document. You will be required to provide a return ticket. This is basically a flight reservation showing that you have paid for your trip to and from New Zealand. It's advisable to make room for this in your proof of funds statement, meaning that you need to account for the amount of money you're going to pay for your flight when you're leaving, when you're submitting your bank statement. So take, for example, the proof of fund requirement is 20,000 New Zealand dollars. Now, how much are you going to pay when you're leaving New Zealand? Make sure that you account for it in your bank statement. You're going to be required to show a full-time vacation work right. This is usually going to be included in your offer letter from your university. And finally, the proof of fund requirement for this visa is 20,000 New Zealand dollars per year for anyone above 17. If you were below 17, you might be required to show 17 New Zealand dollars depending on where exactly in New Zealand you will be settling in. So I would say do your research. Look at the standard of living where you're going to be living when you actually land in New Zealand and account for that in your proof of fund and bank statement. Now, a very important thing to add is that New Zealand visas take two forms: by paper application and online. So you can apply online from wherever you are in the world. You do not need to locate any embassy before you're able to apply for any visa at all to come to New Zealand. So all you simply want to do is put your documents together after you have, of course, gained admission from any university in New Zealand that is recognized, and then attach your documents to your application online, pay your fees online, and then you would have to wait for the results. I hope that this video was helpful to you guys. If you have any questions regarding visa application to New Zealand, feel free to leave them in the comment section and I'll respond to them in the comment section. Or if they require me to actually make another dedicated video, I would definitely do that. I know a lot of people might be thinking, oh, New Zealand is very expensive, tuition fee is high. And that's why in my next video, I'm going to be talking about some affordable options to schooling in New Zealand, how you can actually get scholarships to school and remain back in New Zealand. And I need you to stay glued for that video. Until my next video, guys, stay kind and stay blessed. Bye.